Welcome to the weekly Woodcast with Dennis and Michael Woodworth, and we have a special guest Zoom conference today because you can't get out of Halifax due to this wonderful pandemic that we have called COVID-19. In this video, we're not going to forget, Jake, because COVID-19 may be around for quite some time. We do not know, but my special guest today is Jake Sanford, the most recent MLB draft signing to the New York Yankees. Wow. When you say that, Jake, it's got to put a smile to your face.
Yeah, it really does. It's really awesome to be part of such a great organization. So, it's crazy to be drafted. Say I'm drafted by the Yankees. People don't believe me most of the time.
It's amazing. You think, okay, there's 30 Major League Baseball clubs, but you have been drafted by arguably the greatest one. Not arguably, they are the greatest one.
For sure.
When you can say I was drafted by the best organization in the history of Major League Baseball, that's pretty special. And they didn't draft you in the ninth round either, right? They really see potential in Jake Sanford, which I really am very pleased to see.
Yeah, I'm just ready. With playing short season last year, it's awesome to get some reps in and everything, and then going back to spring training, getting to see all these coaches. My outfield coaches were Nick Swisher, Julio Bourbon, and then I was working groups with Aaron Hicks and everybody. So it was pretty awesome to be a part of everything.
So before we get into the present and the future, let's talk about the past.
For sure.
Right? You've had some, I was telling you a story off camera. I want to tell the audience about is that the very first time I saw you as a player was in 2013 or no 2000. Just trying to remember here, 2012. Which was the Atlantic Canadian Championships that you were participating in. I was coaching our local team here in Bridgewater, and I remember talking to my coaching staff that weekend, and I said, this kid's special. I don't know why he's playing where he is, but this kid is special. I can see it. Not only did you have the physical tools, but you had the mental tools, and you had a level of respect in the game for other people in the game that it was very noticeable to me. And I was very optimistic to see your growth over the next 3 or 4 years. And I've kind of had conversations with other coaching staffs about certain times to always bring your name up for provincial representation, whether it was an overager or someone to represent Nova Scotia, because you always, I felt, had the tools. And those tools really led into really in your major midget to junior years, you really had a big growth spurt in regards to your personal growth, both physically, mentally, and athletically. And then we started to see some real jumps statistically that we haven't seen for quite some time here in our province. To just, kind of in a nutshell, give some people an idea of how you went through those situations and what you learned from them.
Yeah, so growing up, I played AAA when I was really young, Mosquito.
Right.
From Mosquito all the way up to midget, I played AA every year. And that goes to show, even if you play AA, you can still go places in the sport. You know what I mean? You just got to keep firing and show people what you can really do. I never made the core team in selects either until the year I actually made selects. So
I still can't believe that.
But there's always going to be stuff in sports that you got to battle through. There's stuff that you can't control, and then there's stuff that you can control, but you can only work on the stuff that you can control, really, getting yourself better, getting yourself in better positions to play the game, and getting your body right. So I feel when I started taking baseball more serious was probably second year of Bantam when I played you guys in the provincial finals. That's when I realized that baseball was my sport, over hockey. I played hockey and then volleyball and everything, but yeah. I realized that baseball was my sport. So that's what I really focused on, training for just baseball. So I wanted to get myself better in that, in the mental aspects of the game, but also the baseball part of the game. So and just getting myself smarter in the game, because you need, baseball is such a huge mental game. If you get down on yourself, no telling what's going to happen. You can be in a slump for months if you're going to be like that. You got to be able to get yourself out of that and everything. So when I got to junior, I really started to understand the game more and understand where my powers were. I found out that my powers were actually opposite field instead of pulling. So get my arms extended and be able to drive the ball the other way. So that felt good. So, but that really did help. And also being able to play everywhere on the field helps too, because then you got to be diverse, because you never know what a team's going to need, like as a position wise. So that's why I like starting to play outfield, because then I can play outfield and infield. So that's a little bit of a nutshell.
It's funny because one of our ambassadors for the Goodwill Tour is Devon White, and Devon had to step away from us because he coaches the AAA team in Buffalo for the Blue Jays. And when Devo told me his story, when they emigrated from Jamaica and they lived in New York, Devo was a shortstop. You know, he was just a naturally gifted athlete. And what happens with good athletes is they kind of migrate to those types of positions. Well, arguably, he was one of the best center fielders of his generation. But like you said, you if you have the talent enough to play multiple positions, it leads you to have better possibilities, right?
For sure, yeah. You got to be able to adapt to like what teams need. Like when I went to junior college, I went in as a third baseman, like from here, like went in as third baseman, and I did all the fall and everything as third baseman. And then next thing you know, I played right field for the whole year. So with no experience, but best experience is game experience. So
that's the truth. So let's talk about junior. Let's go to your junior part of your career. And because obviously, you know, the organization has done very well. The Dartmouth Juniors have been arguably the strongest junior organization for decades now. Paul Arsenault has really been the pivotal piece of that puzzle for a very long time. And you started to see some real growth in your game, right?
Yeah, I think it was like, so I played midget. I only played midget for 1 year, and then I went up to junior when I think it was just turning 16. So I think playing with the older guys like McKinley and Thibodeau and everybody, like, that helped me like realize that I can still play at that level, like, and help me strive to make myself better to compete with those guys.
You get the opportunity to go to national championships for a few years to give yourself an opportunity to gauge yourself against other high performance athletes across the country, and you started to see that, you know, hey Jake, this could be real. Like I could really do this. You're competing in home run hitting championships at the national championships and winning them. You're starting to see a growth in your power statistics. You know, your OBP is high. You know, your base running skills are strong. You're starting to see some real progress. And then I was amazed because I really felt that when you come into your own in junior, I really felt that you would get a full ride with somebody. Now, with baseball. But tell the audience your path from of going into, you know, the U.S. colleges that you actually got a volleyball scholarship initially.
Yeah. So yeah, like I went to T12 in my senior year of high school.
I remember.
And, I had a couple offers from NAIA schools and stuff like that, but they weren't like, it was like walk-on offers. So it wasn't anything like special. But then, I was doing volleyball open workouts with Dalhousie. So I was going to go play volleyball there. And then I realized like that I can go a lot further in baseball. So I wanted to try to do that way. So I went on through field level, and I think I emailed almost every team at every level in college baseball in the US. And then I got a few responses, and then I ended up taking a walk-on scholarship to Mccook Community College in Nebraska. But like, even like that, I didn't even know I was going until late July, and my school started in August. So I had no idea what the school was like. I never went and visited or anything. So I just flew out in the middle of August, and I just showed up there as a walk-on. So in the fall, I had to prove to myself and then also to the coaches that I wanted to be there. So like I had to work my ass off really. So, but and then we got to the second semester of the year, and then the coaches offered me a full ride scholarship for the next 3 semesters because I had such a good fall. But like, anybody can go as a walk-on, but it's what you do with it. You know what I mean? Like, so you just really need to go out there and show to yourself and show to whoever else has to pay attention that that you can be there and you can compete.
Well, high performance anything, doesn't matter if it's athletics, high performance anything in the world, when you get to a level of excellence that you are now associated with others that can perform at your level, it then becomes evident that it's all the little things that you do on a daily basis, intellectually, physically, that can get you to another level. And that's what I think a lot of people don't emphasize or learn soon enough, that your natural ability isn't going to just take you. There's a lot of very good, naturally talented athletes that never make it. Mm-hmm. In fact, they call it potential is omnipotent, right? Potential alone is nothing, right? A lot of scouts will gauge potential because they look at the ceiling that somebody has. But the reality is that I've always said I wanted players that bought in intellectually and physically, because I knew that they would have the ability to jump multiple levels, not just one or two. And that's what you bought into, was I need to work on myself in multiple ways. And I saw just such rapid growth going through those schools. And I wasn't surprised at all, Jake. I'll be honest. I mean, I've told everybody here that none of this surprises me, not one bit, because I knew you were ready for it. You were, literally a 15-year-old teenager, and you were a mature 15-year-old teenager. And I knew that you had the ability to bridge those gaps quickly, and to see that growth was really pleasing. So you went into Mccook. Let's talk just statistically how you did, and then your next level from there.
Yeah, so Mccook was pretty good. Like, I went in as a third baseman, and then I played the first couple of games as a third baseman there, and then our outfield started to struggle a little bit at the bat. So my coach decided to put me out there, see how that was. But I really didn't have any training out there, so I just started to learn on the fly during like batting practice and everything. But as an athlete, you're be able to adapt. Like, it's a little bit harder, but over time you're gonna get used to it. But so Mccook, it was a wood bat league. So, but they're actually switching to BB core now. What's his name from Bridgewater is actually out there, Nathan Weber. He's actually
Nathan,
going to Mccook.
Yeah,
he was in here helping me with the camp last week, so that was pretty awesome.
Nathan's a great guy. He's probably one of the most respectful people I've ever met. Great. When I say the word great, I don't emphasize it enough when I say how great a person he is and a teammate. He does everything 100%, or he doesn't do it at all.
For sure, yeah. We got to hit for a little bit, so that was awesome. And but then our spring season came around, and our team was pretty loaded my freshman year. So we had a bunch of guys from Las Vegas and like Colorado and everything. Like, they all were D1 bounce back, so they either didn't like feel like they were going to be able to compete at the Division I level there at like UNLV, or I was struggling in school. So, but our team was pretty loaded our first year. We ended up winning the conference, and then going to the regional championships and winning that, and then went to the super regionals, and we lost in the semifinals. So if we would have made it to the finals, we would have went to the JUCO World Series.
Yeah.
So that would have been pretty awesome. But then my sophomore year, I got to go to a showcase in Arizona down at the spring training for Seattle Mariners. So that was like a JUCO showcase. And that's when I really started to realize that, like, I'm competing against some of the top baseball players in the nation. Like, there was guys in October throwing 95, 96 from the left side. So I haven't seen that. Like, I had to adapt to that. And then our next season started, and we struggled a little bit, but my focus was like getting the boys to win and getting our team to win, and then seeing where I'm going to go to that next level. So I think after my first year, I think it was like 348 with 13 home runs or something like that. And then my second year, I think it was 13 home runs again, and then like 321. So I went down a little bit, but I was really just focused on trying to get to that next level. So in the fall, I had a few visits. I went to Niagara University in Buffalo, New York, and then Eastern Illinois, which was in Illinois, which was like 2 hours from Chicago. But they were pretty awesome schools, but I just feel like they weren't like the ones for me. So I decided to wait And then in the spring is when Western called, and then I went there, and then I just fell in love with all the facilities, like the coaching staff, and just even like this, like the teams that they play, and like the conference that we're in. Like, it's just an awesome place to be.
Well, you become who you surround yourself with is a phrase that I've used for a long time in life. And when you're in a situation like yours that you were in, some people are too anxious. They take the first thing that comes their way all the time because they're so anxious to just want to be involved in the process. You were patient enough. You believed in yourself, and believing in yourself is there's a book I'm reading by John Maxwell right now called Success is a Choice. And the number one thing he says to be successful is to believe in yourself. So you had that belief and you were patient enough to choose what you believed was most important to you, and credit to your patience right there for sure.
Yeah, because all my other buddies were signing in the fall, and I was like, oh, I might want to get this over with. And then I was like, I don't think this is the right schools for me. I think something better is going to be coming in the fall, in the spring. So, and then I went and visited Western, and everything was awesome. So that's why I realized that that's the place for me.
As a recruiter too, sometimes when you see an athlete like you that you won on your organization and you see that you're patient, it shows maturity. Because most players just jump at the offers right away, thinking that there's not enough out there. A lot of recruiters will say that this guy is still on the market because he wants to make the best choice for himself. And I think a lot of people will tell you that they respect people for making those kind of decisions because you're being patient. So
Yeah, that's what the kids around here too. Like they're coming to me sometimes, like asking me like, oh, I'm starting to get these offers from these schools and everything. Like, I just tell them, try to like weigh out your options, see what's the best fit for you. Cause like, sure, you can say you go somewhere, some big time school, but like, if you're going to go there and not play, like, it's not going to do anything good for you. So you might as well go somewhere, develop, and then go to Division I and play.
that was my argument with Zach Zink when he left our town. I told Zach the same thing. You want to play. To be in a big school and say that you were there, but you rode the bench for 3 years. A lot of big schools want that because they want the next tier of talent to be available to them. They want the convenience for that, but ultimately, at the age that you guys are at, the best experience you can get is playing experience. So,
for sure, yeah, and you're gonna, as a JUCO guy, they're gonna like you over a high school guy coming in. So, because you already have college experience, so you're probably gonna be starting over them.
Absolutely.
So a lot too. Even if you go to a year at junior college, like, and the bonus about junior college too is you can get drafted after your first year.
Yeah.
So if you have a year, like, you can get drafted and not even have to go play like another 3 years of school. You know what I mean? So like, I had a couple, like, I was getting a couple looks, but nothing came of it. And then that's when it happened at Western.
So let's take the next chapter. So the Mccook chapter is over. You go on to your next chapter. What happens then?
Yeah, so it was sort of like the same as Mccook. I started out I actually was playing first base all fall. And so I moved over that side, and then just doing everything right. And next thing you know, our right fielder gets kicked off the team because of grades. So he actually had to go to JUCO because he didn't keep his grades up. So, and then the next thing you know, first game of the season rolls around in the spring, and boom, I'm playing right field. So like, I was like, oh, we're back to this again. So, but I just learned to adapt, and then you just had to stay focused on like what you wanted. You know what I mean? Like, so you need to like, I was joking around with everybody. It's like, oh, maybe I'll get drafted at the end of this year. Like, who knows? Like, I'm at a bigger school, might have a little bit more exposure, but and then a couple weeks into the year, I started, like, it took me 3 weeks to hit a home run. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I always start off slow throughout the year, and then within that month of March, I had 15 home runs. So that's when I started to realize, oh, something's actually going to happen.
Oh, you were tearing it up. I mean, I was watching you. Well, you post regularly all of what you did, and I was just like, he's tearing it up. Like, and I you could feel that you were on a roll, right? You could just feel it, and I was very optimistic at that point. So keep going.
Yeah, so that was like sort of like when I was at Mccook. Like, I struggled a little bit, and then I had a home run, and then boom, there was a week straight where I couldn't stop hitting a home run. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the field today and hit a home run, 2 home runs, something like that. Like, but at Western, it just felt like every at bat, like I could have hit a home run. Like it was crazy. Like I had we played a weekend series at FIU in Florida, and in the final game I had 2 home runs. And the funny thing is, they actually intentionally walked the guy in front of me to get the bases loaded, and then I hit a grand slam. And then the next game we played a midweek game against Eastern Kentucky, and I ended up having 3 home runs. So I had 5 home runs in 2 games, and I think it was like 16 or 17 RBIs. Like it was crazy 2 days. And then that was a Tuesday we played that, and then Wednesday I had 5 MLB teams wanting to talk to me. So it was crazy.
Well, you tell the audience what it feels like to be on that roll, and when you hit a home run, it actually doesn't even feel like you're hitting a home run. You hit the ball so well, you barely even feel it hit the bat, right? When you're in that kind of rhythm, that kind of roll, it almost feels like you're in a zone, right?
Yeah, like I had that 3 home run game. I was literally laughing around the bases. Like, what just happened? Like, I didn't know what was going on.
You know, it's a lot of, well, what's going on is a lot of preparation, right? Mentally and physically comes together at the right moment. So you shouldn't be surprised something like that happens because you put the work in, right?
Yeah.
It's just that it's the result of all that work, and that's what I try to explain to all the high performance athletes I talk to or that I work with, even in Cuba when I'm down there with the guys. I'm like, listen, if you can put mental and physical preparation together and have a work ethic that's impeccable, then don't expect anything but good results. You're going to have some struggles because baseball is a game of failure.
For
But
sure.
when you get on a roll, you'll know why. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm never surprised to see the guys that outwork, outtrain, outthink, outstudy are the ones that get the results. It's the case. It really is. And I was so pleased to see that growth curve just continue to go up, up, up for you. So, okay, so we're at that point. You have all those home runs. You have Major League Baseball teams talking to you. Now let's talk about what's going on in your world, because your world changes right then.
Yeah, because then the next week we go play Vanderbilt in Louisville.
Yeah.
So literally right before the game, there was probably about 15 or 20 scouts coming up and talking to me, like trying to get my information and everything. And I was just like, what's going on? Like, and then I was just, with that, you just got to be able to play your game like nothing changes. Like, you got to be able to adapt to that. Because, like, if you think about that too much, you're going to overthink everything. That was like when I was younger, I was overthink, like when I was trying to do the core team tryouts and everything. Like, I was overthink, like, oh, these guys are watching me every move and everything. So, but like, you just got to play the same game that you know, and you played for the last 20 years of your life. Like, nothing's changed. Like,
be comfortable. Be comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
Know that you've put the work in. Know that you've done the work that's necessary for you to be there. It's not a fluke. Statistics show that it wasn't a fluke. So at that point, you just got to say, hey, be comfortable, stay in your own skin, and be yourself. And if you do that, then you don't overthink. Because like you say, in baseball, when you overthink, you tend to, the little micro adjustments that you make all become the result of normally putting yourself in a slump. So no, you were on a roll, a big roll. So Major League Baseball teams are talking to you. Lots of scouts are talking to you. Let's go up to leading up to draft day.
Yeah. So we play. This is the first time the teams made it to the conference tournament since they joined the conference like 5 years ago.
Right.
But we joined Conference USA, and then they used to be in the Sun Belt League, so they actually won the Sun Belt Championship. But with Conference USA, it was their first time going there, and we ended up winning game 1, and then we ended up losing the next 2 games to the teams that were in the finals. So our season was over then, and then I was just prepping for draft day. So I actually went to I flew down to the Yankee spring training and did like a scout day with them, and it just felt awesome to be there. Like, I was like, what am I doing here? Like like this it's finally like something's gonna happen. And then I had that. It went really well. And then there was a week before the draft, and I had an advisor at the time, and he was telling me, "Oh, you're going to be going here, here, here." Like he couldn't really get a gauge on it because it was still tough. But then draft day came along. I didn't go day one, but that's only round 1 and 2.
Right.
But the second day, it was the early day, and I was actually at the gym, and then my agent called me. He's like, "Yeah, you need to go to the TV soon. Like, you're gonna go here between these picks. Like, pick 100 and pick 105. You're gonna go between there." And I was like, "What, really?" Like, I thought I was gonna go maybe like later in the draft, but then I realized it's actually gonna happen. So me and a couple of my buddies that were still around at school, because it was June, so everybody else, most people were home, but we were all there training, like all my buddies. So we were in there watching the draft on TV, and then my agent called me. He's like, "You're either going to go to the Rockies or the Yankees right here." So I was prepared. So, but I wasn't allowed to tell anybody because nothing was official yet. So I didn't tell my parents. I just said, "Be ready for these 2 picks. Like, I'm going to go either one of these." So I was just excited. And then I got to hear my name, and it was pretty awesome. Like,
Jake, I tell people all the time that your life is like a book and every year is a chapter. Is your book worth reading? So far, so good for you. I mean, really, you talk about your experiences and what you've learned and what you've done so far, but you're really in the middle, right?
for sure.
Just
like,
you think about where you are. You're kind of in the middle. You're the beginning of a new chapter, obviously, but in regards to your life,
for sure,
in your professional career, it's because there's a lot of work that goes into it before you get to here. Now you're here. So you're drafted. You're announced that you're going to be drafted by the New York Yankees. Who do you think of immediately after you're drafted? Who comes to mind right away?
Like, I'm going to be playing beside Aaron Judge and Stanton.
I'm thinking like not so much player-wise, but who has helped you along the way the most, kind of?
Definitely my family.
Yeah.
And definitely, like, I always like to reach out to my junior college coach too. Like, he always reached out to me and everything. And he actually, like, was the one that kept me in baseball pretty well. Cause, like, without that, I would have been moved on playing volleyball. Like, who would have known what happened then? Like,
yeah.
Cause he's the one that gave me the opportunity to go play. So I always like to think about that, cause he gave me the shot, and then he taught me a lot of stuff too. So.
Well, it's important to have those relationships along the way. It really is, and I'm happy. I'm pleased to hear that you automatically think of family, because so many people have moms and dads and relatives that drive the roads and watch the games, and watching a baseball game every day is not like going to the hockey rink either. I mean, you got to be a baseball fan, because like Bill Lee says, the spaceman, there's no time limit in baseball. So doubleheaders can be long days, and we had a lot of them, man. Right. So, yeah, it really is. It's nice to see that. I can only imagine how your family felt seeing you on that television screen wearing a Yankees cap. I mean, it's a really cool story.
Yeah. Like, it's hard to explain, because like we were always joking at the beginning of the year, like, I didn't know anything was going to happen. Like, so we were like, it actually finally happened. Like, I actually got my goal. Like, this is one of my big goals, was to get drafted. I didn't really have a team that I wanted to get drafted by, but I just wanted to be able to continue to play baseball. I'm just so glad the Yankees gave me the opportunity to keep playing.
Yeah, it's for me, it's one of those things that the next level is going to, well, not just the next level, because when I read Derek Jeter's book, which was a great book, he talked about his struggles in the beginning playing pro. I mean, he was one of the most touted rookies coming out of high school baseball, and then he struggled. In fact, he even told his dad he thought he was going to come home, and his dad said, like, this is not going to happen. Like, there's just no way that's going to happen, right? So you need to take, if I was to give you any advice, that's what I would do, is like read about other athletes' experiences that they had, because you're going to have challenges along the way. and how you prepare yourself for them mentally and physically is going to allow you to overcome those challenges, because we all face challenges, right? And that'll give you ability to continue to overcome
Yeah,
those challenges much faster. And that's the only advice I would give you at this point.
for sure. I always find it funny, like people are talking to me from back here and everything. They're like, "Oh, so I haven't seen you on the roster yet." And like, there's still a lot more work before I make it up to the
Oh
big
my
club. Like,
God. They have no
yeah.
relatability to what it
So
takes.
they're like, I haven't seen you play any games yet. And I'm
No.
like, I still base. Yeah, I said baseball is a little bit different than hockey. You don't go to the queue and then you can go from there. Like there's like 4 or 5 different levels before you
That's
make it
right.
out there. So
That's right. Well, I mean, really, when you get into double A baseball, if you have really good potential, you'll skip triple A, right? That's what will
yeah,
happen. If they seem that you need a little
plays
bit more
pretty well
development, you'll go to
AAA.
triple A, right? But if you're really good in double A, they'll push you ahead.
Yeah, that's what, especially with the Yankees. The Yankees do like to work a little bit slower, but they also develop their prospects a little bit differently
They
than most
do.
teams. So
They do. Well, that's evident. If you
they
look at
put a
it,
lot of time into player development. They go the extra mile. Like they get all the new tech, like everything. Like they hire the best coaches. So like they went out and got Vanderbilt hitting coach, got University of Michigan hitting coach. So they were both in the championships last year in the College World Series. So they go out and get the most top tier level coaches, and then they like to go through like what those college teams did, and then use that to put towards like the Yankees development. You know what I mean? Like everybody comes with different angles. Like they also hire like mental toughness coaches. So that's a big part of the game too. So we have a lot of meetings about that and like how to cope with failure and how to cope with even like success, like how to stay that
100%.
even. And then they use so much technology. Like we have so many different tools. Like of course, like there's always Rapsodo and like TrackMan and everything, but they also get like eye tracking glasses for when you're hitting and occlusion goggles and everything. So like there's so many different things that we use that most teams don't. Like my roommates in Kentucky, like they both play in the minor leagues too. One's with the Pirates and one's with the Nationals. And they said they're so old school, they don't have any of that stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's amazing. There's a different fraternity now in baseball. There's the teams that use a lot of technology, which really started with, I think, sabermetrics when Billy Beane launched his Oakland A's team, which is really almost 20 years ago. Now you think about that. That was almost 20 years ago. So
yeah.
people that use the technology just seem to always be in competition. They always seem to be in the running year after year after year. You don't win every year the World Series because it's one of the hardest, if not the hardest, title to win. But it just seems that the organization has a level of success, and everyone talks about the Yankees because they're in New York City and they have all this unlimited budget money. But you look at a lot of their athletes; they're homegrown.
Yeah. They pick up a lot of most of the high school guys that they draft are from New Jersey or New York area. So like for sure there's a lot of homegrown talent. Like even some of the big league guys too. Like
And
but with Yankees talking too much.
no problem, man. No problem.
With the Yankees, they like to develop their prospects and then sometimes trade them. So they're like a little bit different than most organizations because like they and if you get traded from the Yankees, that means you're going to be like whatever team you get traded to, you're going to go to the big leagues because they're trading for big league prospects too. So you're going to be going right to the big leagues from there.
Well, let's talk about that. There's a sport part to the game of baseball, but there's also a business side. And that's where you are now. I mean, when you're playing college baseball or junior baseball or major midget or provincial teams, you're playing the game of baseball because you love it. But now you're in the business of baseball. I mean, really, and it's the highest level. So it's an opportunity for you to grow as a person, both individually and professionally. And it also gives you a chance to really economically put yourself in a position, if you put the work in both intellectually and physically, that you can put yourself in your professional career ahead of schedule compared to most people.
Yeah, for sure. Like it helps. It obviously helps and everything, but like that's why I want to, like, this year it's been tough because I just want to, like, literally I feel like I'm still playing midget and
I
junior.
know.
I just want to play.
Yeah, you just want to play. Well,
So
if you keep that youthful vigor in your whole life, then you're going to go a long way. I mean, a lot of people tend to get wrapped up into the economics of baseball, and a lot of that comes to your agent's perspective, right? I mean, your agent has to look after the business side for you. I think
sure.
you need to be, and that's what I appreciate and value about professional sports today versus 30 years ago, is that they even have courses on financial literacy. They have courses on how to deal with yourself in society and the economy, because they know there's a lot of poor kids that come from third world countries like Dominican and Cuba and Puerto Rico and Venezuela, Mexico, that have no financial literacy at all, and come in and all of a sudden are multimillionaires, and a lot of people blow it because they just don't understand the economics of life as a professional athlete.
For sure, yeah. It's like, sure, you get a little bit of stuff paid for, but it's still, you got to put your money and stuff into it too. Like, it's not everything's going to be covered, right? So like, you still need to be able to be set for however long until you hit that next contract, or even if you don't hit the next contract, like, be able long enough to play, right? You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I think there's a lot of professional athletes that, if you do the study time and you reach out and you find out the ones that really were good with their money, because they knew that their career wouldn't last forever. So those people are very grounded, humble people that know that they're not rock stars. They don't live on another planet. They're real human beings, and this is a financial opportunity, a financial vehicle to be able to look after your family's legacy for life. But you got to put the work and time into it. It's just a gift. You're using your gift, and you're given an opportunity, and now you have to make the best of it.
For sure, yeah. And then that's like some of the people, like, and then it's like, go out and just or the people are just like, oh, just go play, like, and stuff like that. Like, it's like, that's all we want to do. Like, like, we don't, like, of course we want to, like, of course it's our job. Like, of course we're going to want to get paid, but like, it's not all about that. Like, we want to play. Like, it's not really even a job for us because, like,
well, Jake,
we get to play.
We played our whole lives for nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
play, don't get paid.
when somebody tells you for the first time in your life, we're going to actually pay you money to do this, you're like, all right, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good deal. So ultimately, if you just stay humble and you just stay focused on playing and just excelling over the competition, learning your opponents, studying their tendencies, that's where the Yankees technology comes in, because it tells you where you can be successful, where your hot zones are, where the cold zones are for other athletes you play against in pitching. You'll have more success. And then just be comfortable in your own skin and go compete your ass off. That's all it is. And listen, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. You've always done that, right? You've competed your ass off. I told you a story off camera, and I'm going to say it on camera too. Dude, when you're the player that has the most impact, when we're in our junior season, I think it was your last year of junior, it was, because you were playing junior and senior at the same time. And, you're the player that has the most impact in your junior team. And we're playing you in the first game of the national eliminations. And I feel that we got you guys. Like, I'm like, we've got them. I mean, I'm good in close games. I know what the percentages are. I know what I need to do and with my coaching staff. The only thing I never, ever, ever thought was that you were going to close the game. I didn't think that they would put you in, right? And that just shows you what kind of selfless person you are. Because you could have said, listen, man, I got the chance to be drafted, and I don't want to blow my arm out because I'm going to go out and pitch for an inning or two. So I don't want to do that. And there's a lot of selfish people that would do that. You're not like that. You're like, you need me to throw on the mound? I'm in. And that's what you did. And I know some people would say, well, that's just stupid. But the reality is that you're still that same kid that loves to play. You just
Yeah.
love to play, man.
Like, I'll just go play wherever. I don't really care. Like,
And you proved
even
that
when I was,
third base, first base, right field. You played center field. You jumped
yeah,
on a mound. The only thing I haven't seen you actually do is sit behind a plate. And it's probably a smart
yeah,
thing.
which is a little bit weird because when I played hockey, I was a goalie. So,
Oh, wow. Yeah, well,
yeah.
it's 6'2", 6'3" catchers. They're not, an overabundance of those guys. Salvador Perez is one of the only few that's that big that can play
Yeah.
that small behind the plate. But it's no, you belong in the outfield. You're a very good third baseman. You're a good first baseman. But when I watch you play in the outfield, but it's to have that flexibility. If the Yankees need you, or need you to trade you because that's the business side, you have that flexibility, and that opens the doors to other possibilities to be able to, move you up through the ranks because your hitting is your strength, your number one strength, but then you have the defensive ability to play in multiple positions. So it's going to be a huge advantage for you.
For sure. Yeah. Like, I just want to play wherever they need me. Like, I'll get, like, eventually I'll get better, like, where I need to be. Like, but, like, who would have thought I would have been, like, the only reason I got drafted as a center fielder. The only reason I got drafted as center fielder, I played 2 games college in center field, and that's the 2 games where scouting director was. Our center fielder got hurt that weekend, and I had to go play.
Well, I'll ask you this question, and I love the game as much or more than anybody. I can't imagine what it felt like for you to see your first baseball card with you on it.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was when you posted that, I was like, man, he must be on cloud 9 to see that. Just to is this really happening? And that's why they call it a dream, right?
For sure.
That's why they call it a dream, because it's what every little kid. I've got 13 kids in Cuba on my street, and they all play the game because they love it. But everybody dreams to play pro baseball. They, these little games in the backyard. It's Game 7 of the World Series, and I'm Reggie Jackson, or, I'm Albert Pujols or Mike Trout, and all of a sudden, that dream becomes a reality on draft day. I really look forward to, and if I ever have the ability to do it, I'll make you this promise: the day that you play your first home game, wherever that is for whatever team. Wherever I am in the world, I'm going to jump on a plane. I'm going to get in a car. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to watch you run on the field for the first time, because I know it's going to give you goosebumps. And I just want to see that part of your life come to fruition, because it is a gift that God has given you, because you're the vehicle to show a lot of other kids where we live. Like you said earlier, you don't have to make the AAA team every year to be drafted by the Yankees. That's a cool story.
Yeah, that's why I like telling the kids that all the time. Like, I've been working with a couple kids, and they haven't been making the top level teams, and they're feeling like I'm trying to tell them, like, I never played AAA until midget. Like, like anything can happen. Like, right? So, like, you never know what's gonna happen. So you just got to keep going out there and giving it your all.
Well, and that's what I really appreciate you doing. What you're doing now is you're giving back to the game. You're working with the kids in our communities. You're utilizing that persona that you've built up to be able to work with kids at a level where they can reach out to Jake Sanford and touch Jake Sanford and learn from him. And that's something that I really admire that you're doing. So you're working with kids in the community, and that's really, commendable to do, because a lot of the kids they always want to look up to big brothers and look up to guys that play at a high level, right?
For sure. Like, I just tell them, like, I've been in their shoes. Like, it's a long road, but if you really love it, you're going to make it there one day.
Well,
especially if you put the work and time in it.
Ask yourself a question. If you were given a chance to choose any profession in your life, and you were paid to do it, what would you choose? Be baseball, right?
I want to be a baseball player.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter how much you're paid, as
Yeah,
long as you're paid, even if it was just a regular salary in society. If they said, well, we'll pay you $80,000 a year to play baseball for the rest of your life, the only problem is that your window to play baseball isn't 40 or 30 years. So you're compressing that time
no,
to play at the highest level. So the remuneration part of it is built differently. But the bottom line is, if you can play baseball and then be part of baseball long term and outside of being a player,
he's
then it
gonna become
comes
a
to
coach or
coaching and all that kind of stuff. It's just a great life. I mean, it really is. I mean, even myself doing what I'm doing, I pinch myself some days when I'm down there working with the guys in the Caribbean at the professional level. The kid that played for Tampa Bay in the World Series this year, the Cuban that broke all the records, the home run records, the most hits. He broke Derek Jeter's record. The kid played for Pernal de Rio and didn't even start.
yeah.
So that tells you right there, it's a Jake Sanford type of story that you don't always have to be the number one prospect to actually produce the number one result. And that's a great story to tell people and to learn from, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like I like to share that with all of the younger guys. Like, no matter, like, there's gonna be politics and minor sports and everything, like stuff that you can't control. So like you just gotta go out there. Even if you don't make AAA, you gotta be the best player on AA. You gotta prove that you should be on that AAA team.
Well, and some of and some of the best players, they play and never give back to the game.
Mm-hmm.
They were just players. There's a lot of good kids that become great volunteers in the community. They become volunteer coaches where they grow up. There's two kids that come to mind right away for me is Peter McKay, a young kid out of Dartmouth that's going to university this year. Another one's Braden Hirschman. Braden and Peter would have never been picked for a provincial team, ever. But I guarantee 20 years from now, wherever they live, they'll be coaching baseball in their local communities. That's how baseball thrives and lives. If you don't have those people that love the game, it doesn't grow, So you need those types of people. And
That's what I feel like. Baseball is growing a lot more in Nova Scotia the last
oh
couple
my
of years.
God. I mean, we talked off camera about it, that I really believe since 2012, we've seen a massive, rapid growth in the right direction. And not one individual is a reason for it. I think we're all the reason for it.
Yeah.
And I think we all bought in our own ways, and there's a lot of people in our province, and I won't start to name names because I'll leave some out and some will be offended, but they all know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to just celebrate their contribution. And that goes right from the tip of Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, right to Sydney, Cape Breton, right? And everywhere in between. And, Baseball Canada, I'm going to have Jason Dixon and Matt Snares on a podcast later on about baseball in Canada in general has taken a massive growth.
For sure, yeah.
And it's just really, I'm really pleased to see the result. So, and you're the tip of that right now, man. You're the leader of it. I mean, it's great to see that a young guy that I watched grow in the game is the leader of that. And like I said before, I'm not surprised. I'm only pleased, and I'm looking forward to seeing the growth and just surround yourself with good people. And if you ever need anything from me anywhere, anytime, any place, you just name what needs to be done. It'll be done. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me out.
Well, I mean, we're pleased to see your progress, and we're not as excited as you are, obviously, but we're excited to see the next few chapters of Jake Sanford's career. We're going to be following it along the way. We'll have other podcasts throughout the next couple of years that will continue to follow that progress. Maybe if you get back down, once we get back to regular life, hopefully, knock on wood. Once that happens, we'll do a couple more Zoom. I might be in Cuba or here, wherever we are, but we'll always be in touch just to keep people updated on the progress, because I know a lot of people are following. And I want to do this podcast because the story is the important part. The journey is the important part, not the destination. People need to hear some of Jake Sanford's story, and a real part, a key component of that today is that you don't have to make a AAA team every year to live your dream. And I think sometimes we live in that pressure bubble, and our parents do too, that they spend as much money as they can to give you the best chance to go to every camp and to make every team. And sometimes that pressure is unneeded at a young age.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I wasn't one of those guys. Like, I know it's a good thing right now, but like, I wasn't the guy to go away for high school. Like, I never went, like, because I didn't have the money to go. Like, so that's why going and doing the JUCO level was a lot better for me, because that's where I would get my exposure from. You know what I mean? So like, of course it's a good thing to have, but like, some people can't afford it. Like, you got to do with what's best with what you got.
Well, the tools that you have that's in your tool belt are the only ones you can use.
For sure.
And if you drain your family dry for the dream, you know, that's a tough boat to be in. So I really admire you for being the word that comes to mind is reasonable. You were being reasonable, and your path was a reasonable path,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people can take.
Yeah, for sure. Like, junior college is definitely, like, even come from the college standard, like, it's a good thing to do, because you get all your difficult classes out of the way before you get to the bigger school, right? So like, you have smaller class sizes, so you can actually get your schooling figured out with, and then when you get to the Division I or Division II, wherever you go after that, is when you can really focus on the baseball.
And you've grown through it, so you can attest to this. University sports is a huge business in the United States. It's a huge business, and
for sure,
their job is to put people in the mill, right? Instead of that funnel, and the funnel's really big at the top and really small at the bottom, right? So go in with a mindset. I always tell, whether it was Zach or whether it was Nathan or, you know, Brandon Wentz, there's a lot of kids I've talked to over the last 4 or 5 years about, if you can get your education paid for by playing the sport that you love, you're way ahead of the game. Anything else is gravy.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that was my goal, like, from high school, trying to get my education paid for and being able to play the game I love still.
Well, now this time of your life, which I love, is that you get to play with the best in the world, and I think you're going to match up. I really do. And I'm really optimistic. And I if I didn't feel that way, I'd tell you. I really see that happening. Sure. So it's let's just go get it. All right, let's get after it and make every day count. I'm super proud of you. I know your family is. Many people in this province that have played with you, that have coached you, are all in your corner. And I want nothing but the best for Jake Sanford. I've always felt that way since the day. You have to realize something. I've coached baseball for 30 years, my man. You are the only guy I've intentionally walked in my whole life.
I was still mad about that.
30.
Because I didn't realize what it was.
Yeah. 30 years, you're the only guy I intentionally walked ever. So that's one of the claims to fame. I always say, you know, Jake Sanford's the only guy I ever intentionally walked my whole life. And now you know why.
Yeah.
Now you know why.
I could play midget for provincials one year, and I tried to get intentionally walked, and they threw a strike and hit a triple.
Yeah, no doubt with that. And one of the things that I was really pleased in your growth was that being able to hit the ball hard in the opposite field. That was really, for me, a big step for you. It was for Zach as well, and you and Zach are way different athletes in regards to just how you're built. But the bottom line is that he had this. I taught him the same thing. Hit the opposite, because good pitchers are going to pitch usually 80% of the time on the outside of the plate. So if you
that's all college is. People, they don't want to throw inside fastballs. So
exactly. So if you can hit it with power the other way, big advantage to you, right? So, and when I saw that you developed that skill, I'm like, okay, now we're talking. You know, we're talking big time. So we've had Jake Sanford on the line on the weekly Woodcast with Dennis and Michael Woodworth. We look forward to seeing Jake's progress and looking forward to him one day wear those pinstripes and stepping on that field for the first time professionally. And like I said to you before, I'll be there when that happens, my man. All the best to you and your family, and look forward to talking to you again shortly, my man.
Thanks, guys.
Take care of yourself. Okay, buddy.